across first and foremost to my colleague Maushmi Singh. She's joining us from Thakurganj in Lucknow, where this encounter with a suspected ISIS terrorist has been going on. Maushmi, what's the latest that you can tell us from Thakurganj? What are you hearing around you? We're also joined in the newsroom by Gaurav Sawant, Executive Editor, tracks national security very closely. Gaurav, I'll start with you first. I see some action behind where Maushmi is right now. Maushmi, can you hear me? Can you give us the latest? What's happening around you just now?
Hello?
Yes, Rahul, I can hear you. Let me tell you that the terror operation, the operation that's underway is, I believe that the terrorists, the officials here say is actually unconscious. So there are conflicting reports. The officials here say that the terrorist is unconscious and there's a spurt of tear gas that has actually been
in that area. They're using chili grenades.
And Rahul, right now, the top officials are inside the house. They haven't come out. So there is no confirmation on the spot whether the terrorist is actually dead or he is actually unconscious inside. The SSP, we are told, is actually, she's also gone inside. We are sorry for this bout of coughing, but fresh tear gas has been thrown inside the house. And the ATS is taking no chances because it is a house without any windows. It's a one-story house and the gates have also been locked in. So after drilling a hole from the terrace, more tear gas and chili powder had been thrown into the house. And the ATS is actually moving in very slowly, not taking any chances, just in case the terrorists might be pretending to be unconscious.
Okay, we're being very careful here in India today not to reveal any operational details. We've been running images, deferred, no live images, no details about the operation itself. Gaurav, a suspected ISIS terrorist, links coming from Telangana and Kerala. Links also suggesting that people have been picked up in Madhya Pradesh, 3 at least, 2 have been picked up in Uttar Pradesh. Is this part of a big ISIS module? Some people are saying it's not the ISIS at all, the police may have jumped the gun.
The police are being very cautious at this stage, but this is a multi-city, multi-state operation that's been mounted after an explosion on board a train in Madhya Pradesh. So initial information seemed to indicate that this was a module in Madhya Pradesh. 5 people were taken into custody, 3 formally arrested. On the basis of their interrogation, the Madhya Pradesh police alerted the Uttar Pradesh police, and when we spoke to Daljit Chaudhary, the additional director general of the Uttar Pradesh police, he made it very clear whatever information the Madhya Pradesh police provided, based on that, simultaneous raids were mounted in Kanpur and in Lucknow. In Kanpur, 1 suspect was taken into custody. In Lucknow, when they tried to take Saiful, a suspected Islamic State motivated, misguided youth, he fired at the police party, and that is where the police seems to say
this is the first time, Gaurav, there's been firing with the ISIS. Kids have been picked up.
Yes.
Youngsters owing allegiance to the ISIS, but this is the first time there's actually been an exchange of fire.
So there was firing, and again the police, Asim Arun, the Inspector General of Anti-Terror Squad, and Satish Ganesh, the Inspector General of Lucknow Zone, they are personally monitoring the operation on ground zero, and the police made it very clear they wanted to take this boy alive. They wanted to interrogate him, Rahul, because there's a bigger part to the story. There's a much bigger module, according to Madhya Pradesh police, in Uttar Pradesh, and Saiful apparently holds the key, and that is where they wanted to arrest him to bust that module.
Many of the ISIS operatives who've been picked up so far, Gaurav, I'm coming back to you in just a moment, have actually been working as lone wolves. Now you've got here a group of people in different states supposedly owing their allegiance to the ISIS. Now that is a new phenomena. We have a lot to talk about. Before that, let me just give you a breakup of what happened through the day, because you've got CCTV footage from Bhopal where the suspects are seen. Some suspects are arrested. At last count, 3 from Madhya Pradesh, 2 from Uttar Pradesh. Also at this time, high alerts along the Indo-Nepal border, high alerts at airports, at railway station, high alerts also in and around Varanasi, the Prime Minister's constituency, which goes to polls tomorrow.
A chilling terror siege in Lucknow. This terror den in Thakurganj at the center of the anti-terror operation. Gunshots rang out as the anti-terror squad surrounded the house, acting on a tip-off, cordoning off the terror-safe house. As the police tried to smoke out the terrorists, commandos pressed into action even as the firing continued. The anti-terror squad officers asked the terrorists to surrender, but he refused to give in, screaming out his wish to attain martyrdom. But now the police had worked out a possible terror link to the ISIS and even the Madhya Pradesh train terror attack. Repeated attempts to flush out the terrorists failed.
This was an anti-terrorist operation. On specific intelligence, the police raided a location to take in a suspect. The latest that we are getting from our sources on ground, and in fact the Inspector General of the anti-terror squad is personally leading the operation. They're asking the suspect, he's a suspected Islamic State activist or a suspected terrorist with a weapon. He's been asked to surrender. He hasn't surrendered. In fact, there's firing going on from both sides.
India Today continued to be the first channel on the ground, reporting from right outside the terror den in Thakurganj.
It is actually a place, a residential area ahead of Thakurganj on the Hardoi road, and that's where the operation is taking place. About 500 meters from here, we can hear off and on gunshots being fired. There is actually intermittent firing that is going on.
अकेला संदिग्ध व्यक्ति ही अंदर है, उसके पास कोई होस्टेज नहीं है, कोई और नहीं है, तो समय हमारे साथ है, कोई हमको जल्दी नहीं है, इसलिए हमने इस व्यक्ति को जिंदा गिरफ्तार करने के लिए चिली बॉम्ब्स का इस्तेमाल किया अंदर, ताकि वो उसको स्मोक आउट करके बाहर निकाल पाए, किंतु वो अभी तक बाहर नहीं निकला है, अंदर से फायर रुक के कर रहा है.
Finally, after an encounter that lasted over 5 hours, the ISIS terrorist was eliminated. As the anti-terror operation reached its final stage, ISIS terror had served a big terror jolt to India. Just a day before the 7th phase of Uttar Pradesh elections, sending shockwaves across the country and the police rushing to secure the sensitive checkpoints in UP and in neighbouring states.
Remember, this is the first time there's actually been an encounter with somebody suspected to belong to the ISIS. So far, most of them have been arrested or they fled. There never was any kind of firing. This coming a day before the big polls in Uttar Pradesh. I want to introduce our guests joining us on the Newsroom Showdown tonight to discuss whether the ISIS is spreading its tentacles in northern India, in the hinterland now, and also whether India is doing enough to tackle this terror monster. Amitabh Thakur is an IPS officer joining us from Lucknow. T.R. Kakkar is the former Commissioner of Police. R.S.N. Singh is a RAW officer. P.K. Mishra, senior security official. A.A. Khan is the former anti-terror squad chief of Mumbai. So welcome to all my guests. Amitabh Thakur, I come to you first in Lucknow. This encounter currently on in the Thakurganj area of Lucknow. The police have been very, very efficient in the manner in which they've gone about cordoning off the area, firing chili grenades, trying to minimize self-casualties while trying to ensure that the terrorist is neutralized before they actually go in.
I do agree with you, Mr. Rahul, and yes, in a way, the way the police should have responded, our response has been pretty well, and the fact remains that people are appreciating that fact that the response was good and apt. But the larger questions that are associated with the issue, they remain, and I am sure that you will be discussing them in the follow-up.
Mr. Kakkar, the ISIS, you think, now spreading its wings outside of Kerala, Maharashtra? There were some reports from Madhya Pradesh, now in Uttar Pradesh, just a day before the elections, the final phase in Varanasi and in the other areas of Purvanchal?
I do not really know if this terrorist strike has really any connection with the election. But the fact is that the ISIS is spreading its tentacles practically in all those states where it gets very solid support, like Kerala, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, areas which are where they can get the support, and now in UP. And it's, let me at the outset congratulate the UP police for conducting a beautiful operation without any casualty to themselves, and of course their intention was to catch him live so that he could reveal by interrogation, he could reveal the whole network. But he has been eliminated, as you said just now, eliminated, and therefore it's okay. The question is, the political leaders will have to now accept. So far, except for one political party, everybody else is in denial mode to say that ISI has nothing, has no spread in India and all that. The ISI is spreading because they have support in various pockets of the country, particularly these 5 states that we said. And therefore, a very coordinated effort has to be made by the police agencies. And in this case, we have seen a center gives information, there is a Madhya Pradesh gives information to UP acts on that information. This is what is required in this country.
Phenomenal coordination, information emerging through the Intelligence Bureau from Telangana, from Kerala, acted on by the Madhya Pradesh police, acted on by the UP police. The encounter is still on. We've got breaking news coming in that UP police ATS sources are telling us that it's possible that there isn't just one terrorist holed up inside that house in Thakurganj. The fact is there could be more. That's what UP police on the ground is telling us. They suspect that there could be 2 suspects holed up in that house, one of whom they believe has been neutralized, but there could be other people there, other terrorists there as well. RSN Singh, TR Kakka touches on a very good point. He says that there is a sense of denial amongst political parties, especially about the threat that the ISIS poses. Most seem to believe that no, ISIS is not much of a threat. Are we at some level in denial? Is this a threat we need to wake up to? RSN Singh?
No, let me begin by saying that, your sister publication India Today carried out a very, very incisive story on this, about this, the new objectives, of sabotaging, railway in the country, and it is a very, very alarming report and a very, very credible report. So to that extent, let me compliment your group for, I think that should have been put on the audio visual media much before. But now what emerges is that yes, in that story, this is of course we know that it was jihadi groups inspired by Pakistan military intelligence establishment in cahoots with the Maoists and in some criminals within India. But now it emerges that it is nothing but ISIS. But let me also tell you at this moment, lot of churning has taken place as far this global jihad is concerned. After the ISIS has been losing ground in Raqqa in Syria and in Mosul. In fact, Mattis, the new Defense Secretary of US, he has submitted a report to the White House where they have said that now we are not going to only concentrate on ISIS in Syria and Iraq, but more importantly in AfPak region and within Pakistan. And he has said that we will take we are considering both military and non-military options. Also, let me tell you,
Shivendra Srivastava is our colleague. He's in Lucknow. He tracks terrorism and the police. His sources are telling him that there could be 2 more terrorists. Shivendra, क्या खबर है? आप क्या बता सकते हैं?
देखिए, SSP Manju Saini herself confirmed that at least 2 terrorists are still inside and they might be alive. But now again they have started firing tear gas and to control them. But still this is not confirmed that Saifullah is alive or not. No official confirmation about that. But one person is believed to be died during this operation. But operation is started again, and SSP herself is present at the spot, and she is directing for the firing of this tear gas. And she confirmed on our mobile camera that at least 2 persons are still inside and they are alive.
So 2 persons are still alive. You've got an SSP on camera, Shivendra. So apart from Saifullah, there could be 2 more. These are live images that you're getting from Lucknow for us. By live, I mean they're coming to us now, but these images are from earlier. These are images from Thakurganj. Let's try and listen to what the officer there is saying.
इसके वो कहाँ है?
ये लगी है।
ये अंदर कैसे चला पाओगे?
नहीं, अंदर से चला लेंगे हम, लेकिन हम और काटेज है 4-5 है।
ये लो।
ये रखिए। लो ये है, ये रखिए।
खोलो इसे।
है मैम, लोड है।
इसमें लोडेड है?
हाँ, लोड है।
चलो
मैम जी बताइए क्या अभी ऑपरेशन और अभी फिर से टीयर गैस फेंकी जाएगी क्या?
एक मिनट
अभी अभी उम्मीद है अंदर 2 लोग जिंदा होने के, 2 लोग हैं अंदर।
इसके वो कहाँ है?
ये लगी है।
ये अंदर कैसे चला पाओगे यार?
नहीं अंदर से चला लेंगे हम, लेकिन हम और काटेज हैं 4-5 हैं काटेज।
ये लो,
ये रखिए। लो ये है, ये रखिए।
खोलो इसे।
है मैम, लोड है।
इसमें लोडेड है?
हाँ लोड है।
चलो
मैम जी बताइए क्या अभी ऑपरेशन और अभी फिर से टीयर गैस फेंकी जाएगी क्या?
एक मिनट
अभी उम्मीद है अंदर 2 लोग जिंदा होने के, 2 लोग हैं अंदर।
That's the local SSP in Lucknow saying that the encounter is still on. These are fairly recent images. Remember, we're not showing any live images about this operation at all. We're focusing on talking about the larger, broader issues. I want to go across to A.A. Khan. As a former ATS chief, Mr. Khan, the threat about the ISIS, T.R. Kakkar says it's being underplayed. There are areas which have been fertile hunting ground for the ISIS. India needs to stare the menace in its face and find a solution, not live in denial. Do you agree, Mr. Khan?
Yeah, of course I do. Any connection with the ISIS has got to be dealt with very seriously. But while appreciating the action taken by the restraint shown by the UP police, I would think that a little more urgency should be resorted to, because we want to find out if the timing of the terrorist operation has anything to do with tomorrow's elections or with the results of the election. If that is the case, a little more urgency should be shown. Obviously, the terrorists who are holed up in Lucknow, initially we were told of 1 person, now we are talking of 2 more being alive and 1 perhaps dead. There is a lot of confusion, but if I was there, I would want them to be picked up as quickly as possible, so that one would know what are their plans. Are they planning something tomorrow on the day of the polling? Are they planning something during Holi? Or are they planning something during the counting, period of counting? And another thing which perplexes me is, one of the reports, earlier reports said that the person who was picked up in Kanpur was perhaps the Amir of the nodule. If that is the case, the Amir should have been able to tell us exactly how many people were in Lucknow, how many people were holed up in Lucknow, and what was the entire plan, what was the entire operation aimed at.
Mr. Mishra, we're hearing A.A. Khan say we need to be very careful. We can't dismiss the possibility of this being linked with the elections either on voting day or on counting day. Do you believe the ISIS actually has the kind of footprint to be able to execute a multi-state operation of this nature? Because most of the ISIS arrests so far have been localized incidents. They haven't been pan-state, pan-India operations or modules. They've been very, very localized. Is that face of the ISIS changing now in your view?
Rahul, I can well tell after Mosul has fallen, what Baghdadi has given a message to the followers that, okay, you sprayed and you can go back and start lone wolf attack. So I don't think that this is a lone wolf attack, because the module here is connected to UP, Madhya Pradesh, Lucknow and Telangana. It shows that the module and the sleeper cells are available in various states of India. Earlier we were thinking about 200 such sleeper cells. Now I can well tell you, Rahul, the country may be having more than 3,000 IS modules like sleeper cells available in various states, and UP and Bihar has come up, Madhya Pradesh has come up. Earlier we were thinking, one more point you are not taking into consideration, the Rohingya areas in Hyderabad. We have to keep an eye there also. The ISIS is having tentacle there at Hyderabad. So I can well tell you, yes, that they might have planned for a Holi, they might have planned for the election day or for the counting after the 11th, but we have to be very careful. We cannot take it we cannot take it very lightly that ISIS we can control it, because the cyber network which
the good point you're making, Mr. Mishra. We've got a top panel of experts bringing different kinds of specialization to this discussion, from the anti-terror squad to the research analysis wing, commissioners of police, ADG, the Additional Director General Police Law and Order in Uttar Pradesh, has now come on record saying that the operation is still on. Initially, there were reports that there was one youth inside. They think that that number could be more. Let's listen to what Daljit Chaudhary is saying.
Right now, we have drilled the roof to see what's happening inside after the initial shootout. But we have found that there are two weapons lying there, and another very surprising thing which we have come to know is that we thought initially that youth inside, but now we have found that there are two inside, and both of them are very much alive. We are still trying to arrest them.
Very crucial, this bite for a comment from Daljit Chaudhary that there could be two, one of whom is still alive, one possibly neutralized. TR Kakar, it also brings out why everyone needs to be very, very careful. 3 suspects nabbed in Madhya Pradesh, 2 picked up earlier in Uttar Pradesh. Now suddenly the ADG is saying there could be more than that one Saifullah who was reported earlier. Everyone needs to be very, very careful at this time, Mr. Kakar.
Absolutely, Rahul. I also agree with the assessment made by Mr. Khan and then by comments made by Mr. Mishra. The question is, it is time that the agencies start cooperating with each other to put an end to this menace. Otherwise, this will spread very fast. I do not agree with Mr. Mishra that all those 3,000 sleeping cells would perhaps be the ISIS and all that. We know that there are sleeping cells created by Pakistan in this country, and definitely those are very fertile areas and grounds for the ISIS to get in, provided those people really want that sort of a jihad in this country. Otherwise, the word jihad in this country is only now. It's only now that we come to know. Otherwise, the other people who were creating problems on the basis of religion were only trying to make their presence felt, to say that look, we also exist and we can create problems for you. Now here,
I want to go across, hold that thought, I want to go across to Maushmi Singh for a latest update on what's happening on the ground. Without revealing, Maushmi, any operational details about what's going on, give us a sense. Now that we've got the ADG Law and Order, the official designated spokesperson, saying that there could be more than that one Saifullah who was reported earlier, bringing out why the police needs to be very careful and how it approaches what it initially thought was the last phase of this encounter. Maushmi? Okay, I think they're using a lot of these chili grenades and tear gas shells. Maushmi is having some issues in controlling her cough. What I'll do just for a moment as we try and bring Maushmi back, just ensure that she's comfortable. Let me show you how the ISIS has expanded its footprint in earlier. It started off from Kerala, some reports of some disgruntled, misguided youth going to the Mideast, then towards Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, some ISIS flags in Kashmir, and now this latest incident coming from Lucknow. Here's the story.
The Islamic State, the world's newest and most monstrous breed of terrorists, has had a shadowy network in India so far. There's no head of the organization, but a growing network of individuals motivated and brainwashed on the internet. So far, they have not pulled off a major terror strike in India. Many recruits choosing Afghanistan and Syria for their jihad. The alarm bells rang first in 2014 when 4 youth from Mumbai mysteriously vanished. The profile of the average ISIS sympathizer in India makes for an interesting study. The National Investigation Agency named 52 people for suspected ISIS links last year. Of them, 20 were engineers, more than half of them below the age of 25. As many as 10 came from Hyderabad, one of India's technology hubs. 9 were from the upper middle class. The agency has so far been able to arrest only 35 of these suspects. The rest are still at large. the ISIS is different from terror outfits India has dealt with thus far. There is no clear chain of command. Instructions could come via blogs or social media or mobile chat rooms or from a neighborhood radical preacher. In every way, they're an invisible and far deadlier force. In the hands of an ISIS terrorist, anything could become a weapon of destruction, even a knife or a truck, as Dhaka and Paris realized to their horror. The question is, are we ready to tackle the ISIS brand of terror? Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, I want to try and re-establish the connection with Maushmi Singh. Maushmi, if you hear me, give us a sense of what police officers on the ground are telling you. This encounter, which they initially thought may have been over, suddenly that encounter is still on and they now suspect that there are more terrorists in that same house?
That's right, Rahul. The information that we are getting, we cannot divulge the operational details, but the information that we are getting, there is a confirmation about the fact that there are 2 terrorists that are holed up inside this house. And we have been told by our sources that one of these terrorists is lying unconscious while the other terrorist is moving. And that's one reason why this operation is taking even more time. Even the ATS had suspected only 1 terrorist earlier, but now they have discovered that there is not 1 but 2 terrorists. So of this, 1 is Saifullah. Who is the other terrorist? We had spoken to a lot of people in and around this area, and we did come to know that the caretaker told us that this house belonged to some Badshah who lived in Saudi Arabia, and this house was given on rent to 4 students. They claim to be students, and they were here since past 3-4 months. One other resident told us that these youths used to go out to the gym and other areas very less. Once in a while they used to actually venture out and mostly stay indoors. The other fact that is coming into light is that this house was a very safe haven for them. Why? Because it didn't have many windows, it had just 1 story, and the gate was really huge, so nobody could actually see what's happening inside. So that's one reason, and it was a corner house in Haji Colony, a part of old Lucknow, where they would be least suspect. Let me tell you that this is a residential area. One more reason why the ATS is being very, very careful, so that there is no collateral damage. This is the by lane, and you can see very narrow lanes here. The entire area is actually resided by people, inhabited by people, and they have mostly stayed indoors because of the entire operation, which has actually gone into more than 6 hours. The ATS along with the UP police has been in a joint operation, and from tear gas to
Okay, we're going to leave it there just for the time being. I want to get some thoughts from our guests, starting with RSN Singh on India's strategy vis-a-vis the ISIS so far. Given that the ISIS clearly seems to be spreading its tentacles, RSN Singh, what more do you believe needs to be done, sir?
You know, I am of the firm belief that, it has to be fought primarily at, ideological level. Of course, the security aspect flows out of that. But let's not underestimate, it is not the caliphate, in geographical terms, which was a problem. It is the idea or the ideology. And imagine if people are, if people were joining ISIS from as far as Maldives and European countries whom you all and we all like to call, having very liberal values, then the idea must be very strong. So therefore, I mean, what have we done to, prepare a counter narrative? And let me tell you, the Islamic State is also impacting on your religious, that is Islamic religious fabric in India. When this action was going on in Syria and they were discrediting, discrediting the Shia, places of worship, there were at least, there was a large gathering in Lucknow itself, and there were people, as many 300 people, they were ready to go to Syria.
No, but Khan, the fact is, so far, by and large, for a country which has amongst the largest Muslim populations of the world, India and the Muslim community in India has been very steadfast. Given the sheer numbers, the limited number of people who've actually joined the ISIS, seems to suggest that a lot of people don't actually buy into the ideology of this dreaded terror organization, Mr. Khan.
Actually, the ISIS at its peak was a major threat, because they did have appeal people as far away as Belgium and other countries in Europe who were very well off, who were educated and brought up there. They had also joined the ISIS. But now that the so-called caliph, the fellow who had assumed to be the head of the caliphate, Baghdadi, he himself was literally thrown in the towel in Mosul and told them to disperse. I don't think I would be so scared of ISIS. I would like to mop them up. I'd be more scared of the fellows across the border. The ISI is capable of exploiting the name of ISIS or any other terrorist organization.
Point you make, T.R. Kakkar, you agree with A.A. Khan's assessment that the actual threat is the ISI, and a lot which may seem to be happening in the name of the ISIS is actually just being done by terror masterminds, the ISI, and then they make it seem as if it's part of some radical global jihadi movement, whereas it may not actually be the case, Mr. Kakkar.
See, so far when the ISIS was organized and they had that leader who dictated everything to them, it was okay. But now that they are disorganized, they are disoriented because of the defeat in Syria and other places, the people who are across the border having similar views can take advantage of them and give them targets. Now that is quite possible. That is quite possible, and to that extent I fully agree with Mr. Khan that people across the border who are inimical to India can definitely, because these individuals appear to be more committed than anybody else, so they can take advantage of them.
That it's the ISI plus ISIS combination, not just the ISIS by itself, but the ISI plus ISIS combination, which is the deadly combination that India must counter. Mr. Mishra.
That is what I mean.
Absolutely.
Can I come in, please?
Yes.
Yes, Rahul, you are absolutely correct. I also agree with Mr. Kakkar, and they were speaking about that, the connection between ISI and ISIS. I can well tell you what ISI, our Kanpur blast, let us take all the train blast which has happened. They have fully connected to ISI. Now, there are two tentacles which are one is TTP, Tehreek-e-Taliban of Pakistan. In Bangladesh, we have Jamaat-ul Mujahid of Bangladesh. Now it is called Neo Jamaat. Now both the groups are connected to ISIS and having the same ideology. And both are being funded by ISIS. One is from Pakistan side, one from Bangladesh. So indirectly ISI is composing, and they are the mastermind, and they are utilizing this proxy war against India through TTP and this Jamaat-ul Mujahid of Bangladesh, and they are having their sleeper cells and modules in most of the states in India.
Amitabh Thakur, so far India's strategy of dealing with the ISIS has relied very heavily on having a very strong de-radicalization policy. Do you think that's a good way to go, because you're essentially taking people who you believe may have crossed the line, trying to win them back by de-radicalizing them? The one thing that I fear is that if that de-radicalization is not complete, like you saw, for example, in the recent episode of Homeland, you've got a situation where this person goes back and possibly may still have those feelings towards the terror organization, which you think you've dealt with, but you may not have fully eliminated.
My personal view, Mr. Rahul, is that while there is the aspect of radicalization, de-radicalization, having a look at it, what my expert friend said, at the same time, I think as a police officer, more important for us as police officers is the fact that we need to keep our eyes and ears very open. Whatever the ideological levels are, whatever the ideological heights are, they are for people to look into, they are for the defense experts to analyze. But as police officers, we also must have a system, and we must develop it, and we must remain very conscious to the fact that such elements, such ideas are there, and they are coming back and forth. They have a huge potential out there in India, and we must be...
The one thing we simply
Mr.
cannot do is shut our eyes to the threat of the ISIS. Staying vigilant, staying alert, being on guard is absolutely crucial. I want to thank our guests for joining us this evening. I want to go across live to Daljit Chaudhary. He's the additional DG Law and Order Uttar Pradesh, joining us on this broadcast. He's been the government spokesperson on this terror operation in Lucknow. Mr. Chaudhary, could you start by giving our viewers a sense of the latest situation on the ground? What can you tell us officially, sir?
As you know, presently the operation is on and the senior officers are there along with the commandos. And there was an initial shootout which happened in the evening. Later on, we tried all the methods to get these boys out of the rooms, but they didn't come out. And after that, we had just drilled the roof from the top, and we have found that there were rather, initially we had the impression that there was only one person inside. But now we have found that there are two inside, and they are very much alive, but the encounter is on. And I hope that in another half an hour or so it will be over and we'll be able to flesh them out.
Okay, you're saying you're hoping that in about half an hour the operation will be over, Mr. Chaudhary. Is it also a fact that you actually reached out to Saifullah's relatives before you actually went in with full force? You tried to make an attempt to get the relatives to talk sense into these young kids so that they voluntarily surrender?
Yes, we tried all the methods. We tried to call them out. We asked them to surrender. We also made his relatives speak to them so that, you know, they can come out, you know. But they didn't. I guess they are so highly radicalized that they have refused to come out. And they have got weapons with them, a lot of ammunition, and they keep firing on us. But now, I guess we have tried all the methods. And we have again asked them to get out of the place, but they have not. We have used the tear gas and chili gas shells also. I guess, but in another 15, 20, 30 minutes, I guess the operation will see its final stages.
You know, your thoughts on this intrastate, interstate cooperation, inputs coming from Kerala, Telangana, Madhya Pradesh seeing some arrests, Uttar Pradesh. This is not usually the level of efficiency with which the Indian security forces and the police come together. What's happened is quite remarkable, Mr. Chaudhary.
See, there is absolutely this, the Telangana police was working on it. MP police had this incident in the morning. It came to know that this is a module which actually is from Lucknow and Kanpur. The moment we got the info, the operation started. It has been done in 3 districts, Kanpur, Lucknow and Etawah. We have got a lot of success in other districts. In Etawah, we have already picked up people. In Lucknow, from Kanpur also, we have picked up people. And in this case, in this very case, you know, these guys, they just, you know, they closed the room and we tried all the methods to flush them out, but they didn't. Now the final stages of the operations are happening, and let us see. I guess in another half an hour or so it will be over.
Okay, and finally, sir, your thoughts on what needs to be done in Lucknow and elsewhere across the state of Uttar Pradesh to try and ensure that more youth don't get attracted to this dangerous ideology of the ISIS?
I guess the only thing which we were doing earlier also, now this needs to be a little more intensified from our side also. We have to monitor the social media. People get, you know, hooked up to certain websites and thereby getting radicalized. So we need to be more careful about it. We need to tell the word through newspapers, media, everywhere that people have to be very cautious. Parents have to be very cautious. The relatives have to be very cautious about it. Because we have, in this operation, we have seen a lot of laptops, and we find a lot of this kind of prohibited social media messages which they had received from all over, and they were interacting with them, and they were reading a lot of material of such kind. So they got misguided. So as a result of which this thing happened. But now we have to be more careful regarding youth.
Daljit Chaudhary, you know, we must appreciate your prompt responses to the media. Very often in a situation like the one that we've seen this evening in Lucknow, the police is totally silent officially, and there are all kinds of rumors and stories that do the round. You've been prompt, You've been efficient, you've been coming time and again, putting out the police's version on this. This has been a remarkable success, make no mistake about it. The fact that you got so many different agencies, so many different state polices working together is truly testimony to how the Indian security apparatus is coming together in a way that wasn't often the case in the past. I'm going to leave it there, Daljit Chaudhary. Thank you so much for joining us. You still have a long night ahead of us. India Today will be relentlessly tracking the story all through the night tonight. At 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, I'll be back. We'll be tracking the last phase of the Uttar Pradesh elections. Phase 7, this is the end of the UP elections. We'll be tracking what happens in the morning, and then we'll be back post-polls, looking at feedback from the ground, bringing it out for our viewers to help them make sense of the most important assembly election in recent memory. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. I'll see you at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Goodbye, good night.